So let's now improve our super advanced web application here, and what we're going to do is we're going to change it from just static text to have a variable insert so that it will say hello world again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to say, so we're going to put a variable in here, hello world, and we're going to go to main here and we're just going to put in that as a prop, right? And a prop world like this, word. And we're going to go to the compiler here and we're just going to create another build, and of course we're going to go to see the diff on the bundle. So as we can see, we have actually added a new function called append and a function called text here, and we're going to see what else was changed. Remember, we've seen all this last video where we had all this stuff. So we've got this other function called append div, and then we've got this thing called dispatch svelte dom insert. And then we've got something called set data div, and it takes in, well, we'll just step through this code. And on the create fragment, before we had just text content equals hello world. Now we've got this thing called hello, and then so what's happened here is that we're basically splitting up the operations. So before it was just h1, but now we got this thing that's well, h1 is the element, and then we have this sort of batched operations t0, t1, t2, and it's sort of like string concatenation going on here. So yeah, so we've got these variables that we created, and then there's this thing called mount, and we're inserting the various parts to h1, and they have this sort of function here to batch it. That's interesting. So let's we have some more advanced code. Instance. Okay, so eventually we'll go to actually look at the compiler or what is generating these strings here. Well, this is basically a string's been output, but we'll just step through because that's the best way for me to learn, is to just see how things change. So that's I'm a bit surprised. There's more code that's been added there than I thought there would have been. So I guess what we'll do is we'll just go back to the app here, and we'll put some breakpoints in the things that have changed. So let's just think about where we'll put the breakpoints to see this new code. So I think that we'll put a breakpoint probably here, and here, and definitely here, and also here. So let's just go through it. Hopefully there won't be such big changes when we do stuff, but you know, probably there will be when we start adding things like stores and observables and reactive statements and stuff. So it will be interesting for sure. Right, so we'll just refresh the page here, and we'll have some existing breakpoints that have been hit, but we'll just skip through them. So let us journey through the changes in the breakpoints. I've added one extra one that I'll show you. So we've put one on this flush method because I'm not sure we've seen that one covered yet, and we've put also one in this update method here, and we'll just go back to the diff here. So update wasn't a new one, but I'm interested to know what that does. And then we've got one on the mount component. Let's also put one on the mount component as well, just so we understand what's going on. So I'll put one on here and here, and also on the make dirty thing. And okay, it's kind of hard to keep track of these changes. So let's just go back. Is it okay? So make dirty, that wasn't new, but we want to see how those things work. But then we've got these things down here. So got one on append div. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit because it's a bit jumpy, the browser right now. So let's see, set data, and we've got these new methods on the block here. This one. Let's go to that one. Let's keep this instance because that's new code. And the app's changed a little bit. Alright, let's refresh the page and also put one down here. So let's refresh the page and see what happens. This might take a while, but we'll get there. we'll get there together. Like we say on my podcast, learn with us. Right, so we're injecting the props now, and we've got this word world. And I'm going to come up here into super, and let me just remind myself of the changes. Right, so what's changed? So let's see. So we've got this new code called, oh, this is new. Context equals this. App was created without expected word prop world. So they've got some like prop types error here. This is development mode, so these wouldn't be included in production. So that's interesting. They help us developers there. So I'm just trying to think. Let's just press F10 to skip over this and see what methods we hit. Oh, I have to do it on Chrome. Okay. So I'm interested also with this here, so let's put a breakpoint down here. So super's passed, and then we've got this instance thing now. So remember, instance was a new method that was added somewhere. Yeah, this is all new code. So let's just look at the variables that are passed in. And so we've got this thing called self, which has our little context $$ thing that we've seen before. And we've got our props here, which is this. And then I've got this thing called invalidate. So let's just step back one to see what init is, where it's coming from. So it comes from the init function. And let's just check to see if that code was changed. So init function. So init. So I think before we didn't have this. Was this code called before? I can't even remember. $.context. So equals instance. An instance here. So there's some clever people that have made this compiler. So there's an instance function that's called, and before it's the app here. So there's a callback that's passed in there as well. Let's just put a breakpoint in that function as well then. Right, so we extract our variable through here, a prop I guess, yep, word, and writable props. Okay. Object.keys, so we're going to loop through these props and then check to see if something matches, I guess, here. Let me just shrink this screen a little bit. It's a hard balance of font size versus how much code we can see in the screen at once. So let me just also shrink this a little bit. That's quite a long function. So if writable props includes key and key starts with $, at was created with unknown prop key. So we're just, this is the logging here for errors. So we're not going to see anything in the console there. Right. So let's put a breakpoint there. So this thing called .set, and it's going to be a callback. So if word in props invalidate word. Invalidate. What is this invalidate function again? Oh, that's the callback we passed in here. Right. Okay, I see. Capture state. Yeah, this it doesn't get generated with JavaScript docked, unfortunately, in dev mode. I guess nobody the code guys weren't expecting us to go this deep into the generated code. So got this thing called inject state. So right, so hopefully we'll go into this invalidate and understand what on earth invalidate is doing at some point. So we've done this code here and we've set up some callbacks. So we've got this thing called update, okay, which is an up thing again. Ready equals true, run all. Skip over this, and then there's got this thing called create fragment. Let's just step into that to remind ourselves what it is. So yeah, it's this block thing here, which contains this sort of data, metadata that gets called later on. Register the default block. If options.target, so that is the body. And then they got this hydrate function, hydrate property here, which is undefined right now. So there's this thing called hydrate, and then there's this fragment L, but now we call fragment C, which is this one, and L is this here. It says that L thing is options hydrate only works if component was compiled with hydratable true option. So in that case, let me just check the rollup config. So is there anything in here about hydration? No. One thing we can look at later. So we got this, we create these things here, and we got a new function now called text. So text returns a creates text node. So text nodes are not really something you'd normally work with manually, because you normally use p tags and you know, h1 tags. But text node is text that doesn't have, it's not inside of a tag, but it can be sort of inside of an element. But then I guess something you just never really look at manually. So this thing called create text node. So let's just inspect this variable here. So text node, it kind of looks like an element node, but it's just got some less properties because it's that simple. I'm not even sure if you can add listeners to it. You must be able to add listeners to it. Yeah. Yeah, you probably can. Again, something you just never hardly ever work with. So I've got this thing called context, and that's properties that were passed in. So I guess context could be called state or props or something. And you got this thing called add location. I still don't know what that's for. Right. So where are we? We've got our called C, and then I got this thing called intro, transition in. Haven't done any transitions yet. And then I've got this mount component method, and let's step into that. So mount component, let's check to see if we've seen that before. No, that's code we've seen before. Anyway, let's just remind ourselves what it is. So we've got component, and then target and anchor. So fragment M. So we've got our tiger, anchor, and then we have insert dev and append dev. So let's just step through these functions. So we've got insert dev. That's something we've seen before, right? Insert dev, insert. Oh, it's new. No wait, no, we have seen it before. Okay. Oh, let's undo that. Right, so we insert into the target this h1 and anchor. So let's just see what that does. Insert before. So now we should have something on the page there, or it is on the page, but it's empty. And then we're going to do append div, which is the new method. And of course we have our target, which is our h1, and then we have this text content thing here, and it's going to say hello, and it's going to be appended. So it's going to be document.insert child, okay, or append child. That's just a native method there. So now we're going to see hello, and so we're just going to skip these ones because it's going to insert the other text methods, text items. So it's going to build it up in stages. And this is a nice and scalable way of regenerating the template. So nice and flexible. So now we have all our text rendered there. And we have this thing called add render callback. And then this thing here. Skipping, flush. Yeah. Let's just put breakpoints inside it here. I don't think anything will get hit there. Right, so there is our add render callback. And I don't think we have any callbacks on there. So we'll just skip through this. Right, so we've done our init, and now we're going to call, let me set this context here. So that looks like we have done everything we need to do. And I've pressed continue, and there is our app running in all of its glory. Cool. So let me just finish off this video by looking at some other compiler options. And what we'll do is we'll just commit our code right now so that we know what we've done. So we've changed the app Svelte. We've seen an update to the bundle. I've added a prop, and then that's nothing. So let's just commit this code right now. And then we'll look at the comments on the first video. So let me finally address some of the comments from some of my subscribers or viewers. So on this compiler video here, I think Ross Elliott mentioned something. And always thanks for commenting on my videos, appreciate it. And every like and comment really helps the channel. So Svelte is so hot right now, it sure is, Noah. And Ross also says don't also compare the actual build output over tree shaking. Yep, we'll do that. And RB says might be better to turn off I immediately invocated function expressions rollup. So I've done that, and we'll try ES modules. So what we'll do is go to rollup here, and we'll just change it from IEFE to ESM, and that will of course remove the function wrapper. We're losing the use strict, but I guess that's okay. So we're just removing this function expression here, and is cleaner code. We can also save some white space there. That's great. So let me just commit that right now. And let's also compare this build with the minimized build. So we've got the build here. Right, so at the moment we have 360 lines of code. And if we run build instead of dev, npm build, we'll of course see this completely minimized. So from 360 lines of code, we're going to drop all the way down to this, which is about one line of code. And look at that, it's just hardly anything really. Should we try debug this? Ooh, we don't know. Let's just format the code first. Right. Now this will be interesting to compare to the existing code. This will be so there's 190 lines when it's minimized. When it's not, when it's sort of tree shaking. So let's compare that to the original one. Oh dear me. Yeah. Not very easy to compare, but let's just see something. So here we recognize this create fragment here. We've got our CMP, right? So we've got this code there, and that looks like our app function. It's sort of, nah, it's not matching them up. So there's our app, and you can see how much it's removed the dev stuff, right? And all this checking this stuff here. Very beautiful actually. beautiful to me. And there's our, okay, there's our app there. There's our prop word, and there's our app extends Svelte component dev. Is that it there? And then we've got all this context stuff. Whew. Right. Let's go to the top. Nice gentle introduction to Svelte, this video. This should be the first video that every noob that learns Svelte should learn. In fact, it should be the first video for anyone who's starting to learn programming. Get them straight into the deep end. So I think we can all assume that this code is pretty impossible to read when it's done like this. But it is interesting to sort of match them up a little bit with this side here. Look, that looks like our callbacks here. Goodness knows how all this stuff works, how this is generated. That looks like our flush thing there, and all our stuff we've seen before. If anyone writes stuff like this code, then they must have an IQ of plus 190 or something. Right, good. Dearie me, my poor brain right now. I think I'm going to cry. So you can see that it is sort of similar, but it's sort of light. Okay, well, thanks for watching this one, and we'll cover more generated code next video, okay? Thanks so much, and thanks to my commenters. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks for taking the time to commenting. And please write more comments. Thank you. Bye.